Marcus Webb rubbed his lower back and winced as he stepped off the transit shuttle onto the gleaming platform of Celestia 6. The swirling nebula clouds in the violet sky cast everything in a dreamlike glow, matching the brochure images that had convinced him to spend a significant portion of his engineer's salary on this getaway. "Welcome to Celestia 6, where relaxation transcends species," announced a melodic voice through the station's sound system. "Please ensure all personal belongings are properly decontaminated before proceeding to customs." After 15 years maintaining engines on deep space cargo vessels, Marcus's body had accumulated a catalog of aches. The ship's medical officer had finally given him an ultimatum: take a proper rehabilitation break or face permanent nerve damage. When a colleague mentioned Celestia 6's reputation for miraculous healing techniques, Marcus had booked passage immediately. "First time on Celestia?" asked a blue-skinned Arcturian beside him in the customs line. "That obvious, huh?" Marcus chuckled, trying to straighten his hunched posture. "The wide eyes and pained grimace give it away," the Arcturian replied. "Word of advice, when you book your treatment, be very specific about what you want. Some of the practitioners take things quite literally." Marcus nodded politely, assuming it was standard tourist banter. Within an hour, he was checking into the Astral Harmony Resort, a complex of crystalline domes nestled within a bioluminescent forest. The lobby featured a trickling waterfall wall that seemed to defy gravity, water flowing upward rather than down. "Your biometric scan indicates severe musculoskeletal tension and inflammation," said the receptionist, a humanoid with pearlescent skin. "I'm assigning you to Alara, our Lumidian specialist in deep tissue rehabilitation." "Great, I just need someone to fix my back," Marcus said, rolling his shoulders uncomfortably. "Years of crawling through engine compartments have turned my spine into a pretzel." The receptionist's eyes widened momentarily. "Alara will certainly straighten things out. Please follow the path to healing chamber 12. The chamber turned out to be a private grotto carved from some form of living crystal that pulsed with gentle light. The temperature was perfect, and soft tones reminiscent of whale song filled the air. Marcus changed into the provided robe, which seemed to be made from something like liquid silk that conformed perfectly to his body. When Alara entered, Marcus momentarily forgot about his pain. She moved with hypnotic grace, her skin emitting a subtle glow that shifted through patterns of blue and violet. Her features were almost human, save for the iridescent quality of her eyes and the delicate gill-like structures at her throat that fluttered as she breathed. "I am Alara," she said, her voice carrying an otherworldly resonance. "You seek healing, Marcus Webb." "Just trying to get these knots out before my spine permanently fuses," he joked, patting his lower back. Alara tilted her head, her expression becoming suddenly intense. "You wish for transformation and fusion? This is unexpected but most honored." "I just need a good massage," Marcus clarified, lying face down on the treatment platform. "The ship's doc says I've got years of damage to undo." "I understand completely," Alara said, though her tone suggested something had pleased her greatly. "I will begin the preparations immediately. Today is most auspicious for such a profound connection." Alara's hands moved with practiced precision across Marcus's back, her fingertips emitting a subtle bioluminescence that pulsed in rhythm with his heartbeat. The initial warmth had deepened into something more profound, a tingling sensation that seemed to penetrate beyond muscle and into his very cells. "Your physical structure shows much wear," Alara observed, her voice taking on a musical quality. "The fusion process will require deeper connection than I initially anticipated." Marcus mumbled contentedly into the cushioned platform. "Whatever you're doing is amazing. I haven't felt this relaxed in years." Alara's gills fluttered with excitement. In her culture, such enthusiastic consent to continue was considered deeply romantic. She reached for a crystal vial beside the platform and poured a shimmering liquid onto her palms. "This essence will prepare your system for the bonding sequence," she explained, beginning to apply the substance to Marcus's shoulders. The moment the liquid touched his skin, Marcus felt an extraordinary change. A pleasant electric current seemed to dance across his nerve endings. His senses heightened dramatically. He could suddenly perceive the subtle fragrance of Alara's natural pheromones, smell the mineral composition of the living crystal walls, and feel the subtle vibrations of distant footsteps through the floor. "Whoa," he gasped. That's intense. Is this some kind of exotic muscle relaxant? Alara's luminescence brightened with pleasure. It is the essence of eternal union, distilled from the sacred pools of my homeworld. The sensitivity you feel is your body awakening to recognize mine. Something about her terminology finally penetrated Marcus's relaxation-fogged mind. He propped himself up on his elbows and turned to look at her. Eternal what now? Alara's four-fingered hands traced a ceremonial pattern across his back. Union. You requested transformation and fusion, the most sacred bonding ritual of my people. Once completed, our biorhythms will be forever synchronized, our physiologies partially merged. It is a great honor that you would choose me as your eternal companion. Marcus's eyes widened with alarm. Wait, companion, I just wanted treatment for my back pain. But his protest came too late. The essence had already begun its work, creating microscopic channels of connection between his skin and Alara's. Where their bodies touched, a beautiful pattern of light flowed between them, creating intricate, interwoven spirals that mapped their genetic codes beside one another. Alara's expression turned from joy to confusion. You did not intend to initiate the ritual of eternal union. No, Marcus scrambled to sit upright, but found his movements oddly synchronized with Alara's, as if their nervous systems had begun to coordinate. I'm just a spaceship engineer who needed physical therapy. The luminescence across Alara's skin dimmed noticeably, the patterns becoming irregular and distressed. Her eyes, previously bright with happiness, now reflected profound embarrassment and something worse, shame. I have made a terrible error, she whispered, her voice trembling. But the essence has already been applied. The initial phase of bonding has begun. Marcus ran his hand through his hair, trying to remain calm. Okay, so we stop now and wash this stuff off, right? Alara's gills flattened against her neck, a sign of extreme distress in her species. It is not so simple. In my culture, to halt the ritual of eternal union once initiated is. She struggled to find a human equivalent. It is like breaking a marriage vow at the altar, but worse. It brings disharmony to both participants and shame to the families. But we're not getting married, Marcus protested. This is just a miscommunication. The diplomatic implications are also significant, Alara continued, her voice small. The last human who rejected a Lumidian during the ritual created tensions that took decades to resolve. Our species consider it the gravest insult, a rejection not just of the individual but of our entire cultural heritage. Marcus felt his heart racing, the panic causing the light patterns on his skin to pulse erratically, which in turn affected Alara's own bioluminescence. They were already connected in ways he didn't fully understand. How permanent is this bond? He asked carefully. Without the final ritual stages, the physiological connection will fade within days, Alara explained. But the cultural offense would remain. I would be marked as rejected, unable to perform healing work or form a bond with another. Marcus looked at the beautiful alien before him, her skin now dimmed with distress, and felt a stab of guilt. This misunderstanding wasn't her fault, and he couldn't bring himself to ruin her life over it. There has to be another way, he said finally. A middle path. Can we talk to someone who might understand both our cultural perspectives? Hope flickered across Alara's bioluminescent patterns. There is one who might help, the Cultural Integration Director. She has experience with interspecies misunderstandings. Marcus nodded, trying to calm his racing thoughts. Let's talk to her. And Alara, I'm not angry with you. We're going to figure this out. The light patterns across Alara's skin stabilized slightly, and for the first time, Marcus consciously noticed that his own skin was faintly glowing in response. A physical manifestation of a connection he never intended, but now couldn't simply ignore. Director Thela Vox towered over both Marcus and Alara, her 8-foot frame draped in formal attire that seemed to shift colors with her moods. As a Concordian diplomat, she possessed the rare ability to metabolize information from multiple cultural perspectives simultaneously. Her 3 sets of eyes, positioned to provide a full 360-degree view, studied the partially bonded pair with scientific curiosity. Fascinating, she said, her voice resonating at multiple frequencies. I've documented 17 cases of accidental ritual initiation between species in my career, but this is the first human-Lumidian misalignment I've witnessed firsthand. They sat in her private office, a room designed to accommodate beings from 30 different planetary environments simultaneously. Marcus still felt the strange connection to Alara. Every time her emotional state shifted, his skin tingled in response. "Can you help us resolve this without ruining Alara's standing in her community?" Marcus asked. "I never meant to cause any harm." Director Vox extended one of her forearms toward a holographic interface, pulling up ancient Lumidian texts. The ritual of eternal union predates Lumidian space travel by millennia. It evolved as a means to strengthen their species during a period of harsh environmental change on their homeworld. Alara nodded. The ritual creates resilience through diversity. When two beings bond, their genetic expressions harmonize, creating stronger offspring and more adaptable communities. "But I'm human," Marcus pointed out. "We can't have offspring." "The ritual has evolved beyond mere reproduction," Director Vox explained. "It now serves primarily as a cultural cornerstone, a sacred commitment that demonstrates the highest form of respect between individuals." Marcus ran his hand along his forearm, watching the faint pattern of light that followed his touch, a visible sign of his partial bonding with Alara. "What exactly happens if we complete this ritual?" he asked cautiously. Alara's gills fluttered nervously. "Our biorhythms would permanently synchronize. You would carry traces of my bioluminescence within your cells for life, and I would adopt certain aspects of your physiology. We would sense each other's emotional states across distances, and in moments of extreme stress, we could draw strength from one another." "Like a psychic connection?" Marcus asked, alarmed. "Not thoughts," Alara clarified. "Only emotional resonance and physical well-being. The bond strengthens both participants against illness and extends lifespan in most cases." Director Vox manipulated the holographic display again. "Here's where it gets complicated for you, Marcus. According to Lumidian tradition, once the essence of eternal union has been applied and the initial connection established, there are only 3 paths forward." 3 glowing symbols appeared in the air between them. "Complete the ritual and form a permanent bond." Vox indicated the first symbol, which resembled intertwined spirals. "Reject the bond and cause significant cultural offense." She pointed to the second, a broken circle that pulsed with an unsettling red light. "Or," she hesitated at the third symbol, which appeared more complex than the others. "Or what?" Marcus prompted. "The path of respectful transformation," Alara whispered, her luminescence brightening with hope. "It is rarely invoked, but it exists for situations where full bonding is impossible, yet respect must be maintained. This third option was created centuries ago, when a Lumidian healer initiated the ritual with a dying patient from another species," Director Vox explained. "Complete bonding would have hastened the patient's death, yet rejection would have dishonored both. They created an alternative, a ritual that acknowledges the connection but transforms it from eternal partnership to eternal friendship." Marcus felt a strange sensation in his chest. Relief mingled with something unexpected, a twinge of disappointment. In the short time since their connection had formed, he'd grown oddly protective of Alara, aware of her emotional vulnerability in a way that transcended normal empathy. "Would this alternative satisfy your cultural requirements?" he asked Alara directly. She met his eyes, the iridescent qualities of her irises shifting through shades of purple and blue. "It would preserve my honor and position, but," she hesitated, "it is still a significant commitment. We would remain connected, though less intensely, for life." Marcus took a deep breath, feeling the weight of the decision. He'd come to Celestia 6 seeking physical healing, but now faced a choice that would alter his life forever. Either option would leave him changed in ways he couldn't fully comprehend. "I need to understand exactly what I'm agreeing to," he said finally. "Can you show me what this path of respectful transformation entails?" As Director Vox expanded the holographic display to show the ancient ritual, Marcus realized that his simple vacation had become something far more profound. A crash course in interstellar diplomacy and alien intimacy that no training manual could have prepared him for. The Garden of Celestial Harmony stretched beneath an artificial sky dotted with the constellations of a dozen homeworlds. Marcus sat beside a reflective pool, watching alien fish with translucent bodies dart through the glowing water. His skin still shimmered faintly where Alara had applied the bonding essence hours earlier. After their meeting with Director Vox, he'd requested time alone to process everything he'd learned. The path of respectful transformation wasn't a simple ceremony, but a 3-day ritual requiring both physical and psychological preparation. While it wouldn't create the permanent partnership of the full eternal union, it would establish a lifelong connection that transcended ordinary friendship. Your biorhythms are unbalanced. Marcus looked up to find Alara standing nearby, her luminescence subdued to respect his need for space. Even at this distance, he could sense her concern, a side effect of their partial bond. My whole life feels unbalanced right now, he admitted as she sat beside him. Yesterday, I was just an engineer with back problems. Today, I'm participating in an alien ritual to avoid causing an interspecies incident. Alara's gills fluttered with what Marcus now recognized as sadness. I feel your resentment through our connection. I would not blame you if you chose to reject the bond entirely. It's not resentment, Marcus corrected her, surprised by his own certainty. It's fear. I've spent 15 years floating between stars, avoiding anything permanent. Now I'm contemplating a connection that would follow me across the galaxy. The fish in the pool seemed drawn to Alara's presence, their bioluminescent patterns intensifying as they approached her. In my culture, connection is not seen as a limitation, but as an expansion, she explained, trailing her fingers through the water. Each bond creates new possibilities rather than reducing them. Marcus watched the water ripple around her fingers. I've never thought of it that way. Perhaps that is why you were drawn to Celestia 6, Alara suggested, not just for physical healing. Marcus considered this. His colleagues often joked about his solitary nature, how he preferred the company of machines to people. Yet something had compelled him to choose a living healer over mechanical treatments when numerous robotic options existed. Tell me about your world, he said suddenly. If we're going to share a connection, I should at least know where you come from. Alara's skin brightened with pleasure at his interest. For the next hour, she described her homeworld, a planet of bioluminescent forests and crystal caves, where communal healing was the highest art form and connection between beings was celebrated through elaborate festivals of light. In turn, Marcus shared stories of Earth, of oceans and mountains, deserts and rainforests. He told her about his childhood fascination with engines, how he found beauty in the precision of machinery while struggling to connect with humans. Your species treats independence as an ideal, Alara observed. Mine views it as an unfortunate temporary state to be remedied through connection. Maybe we're both right in different contexts, Marcus suggested. Independence gives freedom, connection gives meaning. The sky above them gradually shifted to evening mode, stars becoming more prominent as simulated day turned to night. I've been thinking about the path of respectful transformation, Marcus said finally. Director Vox explained the physical aspects, but what does it mean emotionally for your people? Alara considered the question carefully. It creates what we call resonant friendship, a bond deeper than casual acquaintance but different from the partner bond. We would remain aware of each other's emotional states across distances, able to send comfort or strength when needed. Our physical systems would recognize each other as familiar, making healing between us more effective. And this would satisfy your cultural requirements. You wouldn't be dishonored. It is considered a respected alternative path, Alara confirmed. Different but not lesser. Marcus watched the alien fish swim in patterns that reminded him of the light on Alara's skin. Could we modify it further? Director Vox mentioned that rituals evolve over time. What modifications do you envision? Alara asked, her curiosity evident in the quickening pulse of her luminescence. Something that honors both our cultural perspectives, Marcus suggested. Not just me adapting to your ways, but creating something new that respects both our traditions. For the first time since their misunderstanding began, Alara's face broke into a genuine smile, her entire body glowing with approval. That approach itself honors our highest values. To create something new from the meeting of different worlds, there is no greater respect you could show. As they began to sketch possibilities, combining elements of human friendship ceremonies with Lumidian ritual, Marcus realized something unexpected. He was no longer simply trying to escape a difficult situation. He had become genuinely invested in building a connection that held meaning for both of them. The partial bond between them seemed to pulse with renewed energy as they worked, as if responding to their mutual engagement. By the time the garden's artificial moon had risen, They had drafted a ceremony that felt authentically theirs, neither fully human nor fully Lumidian, but something new born from their unique encounter. Soft chimes resonated through the crystal amphitheater, their tones calibrated to harmonize with the specific biorhythms of Marcus and Alara. What had begun as an awkward misunderstanding had evolved into something unprecedented, a ceremony attended by beings from 12 different worlds, all gathered to witness a new form of cross-cultural connection. Marcus stood at the center of the amphitheater, dressed in ceremonial attire that combined elements of his Earth heritage with Lumidian design, a midnight blue robe embroidered with constellations from both their skis. Across from him, Alara glowed with a radiance that reflected her emotional state. Nervous anticipation mingled with profound joy. Director Vox presided over the ceremony, her multilingual capabilities allowing her to translate the significance of each ritual element for the diverse audience. Among the witnesses were other guests from the spa, diplomatic personnel, and even the resort's owner, who had recognized the potential historic significance of the event. Today we gather to witness the formation of resonant fellowship between Marcus Webb of Earth and Alara of Lumida, Director Vox announced, her voice carrying effortlessly through the space. They have chosen to transform an accidental encounter into a deliberate connection that honors both their cultural traditions. Marcus took a deep breath, feeling surprisingly calm. The past 3 days had been intensive, learning the basics of Lumidian cultural philosophy, teaching Alara about human concepts of friendship, and working together to adapt the ancient ritual into something meaningful for both of them. Following the modified protocol they had created, Marcus and Alara each presented a personal token to be transformed during the ceremony. Marcus had contributed a small piece of spacecraft hull metal from his first engine repair, representing his past. Alara offered a crystal from her homeworld's healing caves, symbolizing her life's purpose. These objects were placed in a transparent vessel filled with a diluted version of the bonding essence. As Director Vox spoke the ritual words, the liquid began to glow, responding to the combined biorhythms of Marcus and Alara. Through this transformation, separate histories become shared knowledge, Vox intoned. Through this connection, individual strengths become mutual resources. Marcus extended his hand to Alara, palm upward as they had practiced. She placed her four-fingered hand above his, not quite touching. The space between them filled with dancing patterns of light, their partially formed bond made visible. With full awareness and mutual consent, Marcus spoke his part of the vows, I accept this connection not as limitation but as expansion. With honored intention and respectful presence, Alara responded, her gills fluttering with emotion. I receive this fellowship not as lesser but as chosen. As their hands finally touched, the amphitheater filled with gasps of appreciation. The light between them intensified, forming intricate patterns that Director Vox later explained represented the unique signature of their connection, neither the full intertwining of eternal union nor the simplicity of casual acquaintance, but something deliberately crafted to honor both their needs. The modified essence in the vessel transformed their tokens, bonding the metal and crystal into a single object that contained properties of both, a physical representation of their newfound connection. When the ceremony concluded, Marcus felt different in subtle but significant ways. The constant awareness of Alara's emotional state had refined into something less intrusive, a background awareness that he could access when desired, but that didn't overwhelm his own identity. The faint luminescence beneath his skin had stabilized into an occasional gentle glow that responded primarily to moments of strong emotion. At the reception that followed, they were approached by representatives from the Galactic Cultural Exchange, who expressed interest in documenting their unique solution as a potential framework for future cross-cultural misunderstandings. You've potentially created a new path of connection, an Andromedan diplomat told them, one that respects autonomy while still honoring deep connection. Later, as the celebration wound down, Marcus and Alara found a quiet moment on one of the resort's observation decks. The actual stars stretched above them, countless worlds spinning through the void. How's your back feeling? Alara asked with a hint of humor, referencing the original reason for his visit. Marcus twisted experimentally, realizing with surprise that the chronic pain had indeed subsided. Better than it has in years, actually. Side effect of the ritual. Healing was always part of our connection, she reminded him. "Though I admit this is not how I typically treat patients." They laughed together, and Marcus noticed how their bioluminescence synchronized briefly before returning to their individual patterns, connected but distinct. "What will you do now?" Elara asked. "Return to your ship." Marcus nodded. "My leave ends in 3 days, but I've been thinking about requesting assignment to the sectors near Lumidian space." He gestured to the stars above them. "The universe suddenly feels less empty." "The resonance works across great distances," Elara assured him. "When you repair your engines in the darkness between stars, you may notice a certain light within you, a reminder that connection persists beyond physical presence. And when your patients marvel at your healing touch, you might feel a certain mechanical precision, an engineer's influence," Marcus added. As they stood together beneath the cosmos that had brought them together, Marcus reflected on how his simple search for physical relief had led to something far more profound. A connection that defied conventional categories, yet felt undeniably right. His vacation to Celestia 6 had cost him far more than credits. It had cost him his comfortable isolation. Yet as he sensed Elara's contentment flowing alongside his own, he couldn't help but feel he had gained something invaluable in return. A reminder that even in a universe vast beyond comprehension, meaningful connection could arise from the most unexpected misunderstandings.